Childhood. A simpler time where the biggest stress in life was deciding whether to watch Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, or Disney Channel. These cartoons weren't just entertainment, they were literally a religion on their own. We lived, breathed, and occasionally good watching them. But let's be real, some of these cartoons were questionable to say the least. Whether it was the over-sexualization of characters or episodes that literally felt like sleep paralysis, these cartoons raised us, shaped us, and groomed us into a society where Hollywood legends go around grooming our children. If you've ever wondered why your brain randomly flashes horrifying images right before you sleep, blame cartoons, because they had no business being that scary. Exhibit A, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Look, I even have a pin. It's so cute, isn't it? It's so cute. Now, you're just jealous that you don't have one. Anyways, Courage the Cowardly Dog. This show literally aired on Cartoon Network in broad daylight. This show belonged in the horror section of Adult Swim, to say the least. Every episode had at least one demon, a cursed object, or a literal skinwalker terrorizing an old couple in the middle of nowhere. Every episode felt like an A24 horror film where Courage had to battle demons while his owners were completely useless. Why were we as children forced to endure such threats like, return the slab or suffer my curse? I still have trouble sleeping because of that thing. What was that, a ghost? Was that a ghost in a cloak? Was that a ghost at Fashion Week? What was it? Adventure Time seemed innocent for the first couple of seasons, and then some psychopath decided, screw it, let's just traumatize some kids just for the fun of it. Most cartoons had goofy villains, and then somebody decided, nah, let's add the Lich. A skeletal, unstoppable force of doom voiced by Lucifer himself. Scarier than him, though, was Princess Bubblegum, who thought it was fun to run a whole kingdom like a Twitch stream, and she chemically castrated her own people. Finn's love life takes second from Mordecai's. It was terrifying. Simping over a chewed-up 304 that was too old for him, everything exploding when he kisses Fire Princess, finding out that Princess Bubblegum was being banged by a Marceline, a vampire baddie. Yes, she's a vampire baddie. I know many bi chicks that really want Marceline to this day. Oh, and Jake the dog is supposed to be a stretchy, chill guy. Yes and no. This dude gave birth to a litter of hybrid dog rainbow children that can shapeshift into horrors that rival Stranger Things. Then you get those cartoons where there are no parents in sight. In a society where half the population doesn't have present fathers in their household, the last thing we needed was cartoons showcasing the worst case of clinical neglect. Dexter's Laboratory literally had a kid plotting the follow-up of 9/11 while his parents were completely oblivious. Ed and Eddie were completely unsupervised, allowing these three kids to run a scam so big that the Nigerian government would be a superpower by now. Igwe. Dora literally crossed the border into the US illegally, for fun. Scooby-Doo's gang literally did the FBI's job without any parents in sight. I've never seen Shaggy's dad. I've never seen any of their dads, actually, come to think about it. Yeah, dads need to be in cartoons. Like, what are you teaching these dads? Now, most of us living out here with no dads. I have a dad. I don't know about you, but hey, regular show creators need to be sued for false advertising. Like, Regular Show is a show that Cartoon Network slapped a TV PG rating on and hoped that nobody noticed. I mean, if you watched it, congratulations, you were on a fast, steady diet of adult humor, 2 ogres French kissing, and 80s rock bands while your parents thought this was like National Geographic for kids. Most cartoons aimed at kids have young characters dealing with, kid problems. But Regular Show was irregularly far from that. Regular Show was a full-on irregular satire of broke adults stuck in dead-end jobs. And let's be honest, if you were under 15 by the time Regular Show came out, you probably missed half the jokes. 80s music, random movie parodies, and passive-aggressive swear words. Watching Benson try hard not to cuss before your balls even dropped is legendary work. Seeing a naked lollipop guy and a guy called Party Pete who was actually just Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams in that one video. And Mordecai's love life had no business being that traumatic. This guy was one of the simps that made Andrew Tate famous. This dude was in love with a baddie of his own species. Until she flew away to some college and then bro decided to get with a storm cloud baddie named CJ. And of course he fumbles. This love life is traumatic to any kid, any adult basically. I mean, the secondhand embarrassment on this show was unbearable. It physically hurts to watch to this day. Now let's talk about cartoon violence, where we were taught that if someone annoys you, the logical solution is anvils, explosives, and attempted murder. And let's not forget the Powerpuff Girls, which was and still is my favorite cartoons of all time. I mean, keep your sexist comments to yourself. Anyways, these three kindergarteners were out here committing felonies on live television with zero repercussions. Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup were out here going bananas on this random monkey terrorist called Mojo Jojo, who happens to have been Professor Utonium's lab assistant before getting exposed to Chemical X. Professor Utonium needed just one slap from each of the girls, because how do you keep Chemical X on display for everybody else to have access to it? And then this dude decides to spill it on his daughters by, genetically modified girls, and then decides to spill Chemical X by mistake. That was not a mistake. He knew what he was doing. This Samurai Jack looking dude kept Chemical X in plain sight and then decides to abandon his lab assistant only to act surprised when he destroys the entire city. And now that you've got me thinking about Samurai Jack, I just thought, you know what, let's add it here. You know, Cartoon Network had the audacity to add right before Powerpuff Girls on a random Monday morning, as if it was just another fun animated kids show. Most cartoons have some level of conflict, but Samurai Jack, nah. This show was built on an endless, unwinnable war against an all-powerful demon overlord. Every episode, Jack had one goal. Jack, you had one goal. I don't know how you kept messing this up, okay? Get back in time and defeat a coup. That's all he had to do. And every episode he got a little closer, only for fate to slap him in the face and keep him trapped in the future. Zero dialogue, pure tension, and a little too depressing for the 8-year-old if you ask me. Overall, it looked too damn beautiful to be on the same network that Johnny Test was. Johnny Test looks like it was made on Adobe Flash or something like that. Johnny Test did have the best theme song, by the way. I don't want you guys to go down my neck about that, but no doubt about that. But the rest of the soundtrack was just whip sound, over and over.
Oh, come on! Somebody raise their hand and say something!
I don't care.
You don't care that on March 3rd, 1845, lightning started the Great Pork Belly Fire that wiped out our town?
It was like the animators were so self-conscious about how stiff and lifeless the animation was that they decided to cover it up with sound effects every 2 seconds and thought we wouldn't notice. Like, I did the math. Okay. ChatGPT did the math. Johnny Test averaged over 200 whip cracks every episode. That means you couldn't watch one episode and walk away without PTSD from that sound alone. Okay, it can't be as bad as Teen Titans Go. Now that you forced me to think about it, any cartoon where the name starts with Johnny or any cartoon that has a Johnny in it was horrible. Terrible. I mean, I was convinced that Johnny Bravo was simply made for us to have a sneak peek of what Elvis Presley would have looked like with no talent, zero self-awareness, and borderline restraining order against every being with a coochie in America. I'm sorry I phrased it like that. This dude is an animated representation of the Fresh and Fit podcast, where a grown man can't take a simple no from a woman. Plan world annihilation on the female population so that they can suck each other's schlongs under their podcast desks. Looking at and listening to Myron made me feel like I OD'd on Rig Juice and I'm the smart one and he's just one of those, you know how everybody looked in regular show when they had that Rig Juice? You know, that Muscle Man specifically. That's how Myron looks. At this point, we have to ask, did these shows really raise us? Or did they just make sure that we grew up desensitized to people like P. Diddy and Epstein? Imagine not having those cartoons as kids. Like, we'd all be going to therapy, just like all these Cocomelon kids. Anyways, my name is Saint Hilarious and I make fun of pop culture because therapy is just way too expensive. And if your therapy is way too expensive, I think you'd want to cancel and subscribe to me. Because I'm a cheaper alternative.